And as healthcare remains a major logjam in reopening the government, a bipartisan group of House lawmakers is introducing a compromise framework to extend Obamacare subsidies. The plan includes a 2-year extension and an income cap for eligibility. Congressman Don Bacon took part in drafting the blueprint. He's joining us now to unpack his proposal. Congressman Don Bacon, thank you so much for joining us here.
Thank you.
Now, Congressman Bacon, you have a bipartisan proposal right now that would address the congressional Democrat demands to reopen the government by extending the Obamacare tax credits. What's in that proposal?
Well, we want to break the logjam. We think we have to negotiate. Doesn't mean we have to put it in the CR itself, but Democrats and Republicans got to negotiate. And right now, these Obama ACA tax credits that were put in during COVID, which are separate from the ones in the bill itself, they expire on 31 December. Most Republicans, to go along with the Democrats, want to see some kind of extension because we don't want to see tax for their insurance premiums skyrocket. So what we propose, I worked with Tom Suozzi, I worked with Josh Gottheimer and Jeff Hurd, 2 Republicans, 2 Democrats. And by the way, others support this too, but we just wanted to get the 4 of us and get it out as fast as we could. But what we propose is a 2-year extension, but we cap the income that can take advantage of these tax credits. And we say it should be capped somewhere over 200,000. We disagreed a little bit on whether it should be 200, 300. We just said over 200. And should be totally phased out by 400,000. Another thing that we know that's important, these tax credits should directly go to reducing people's premiums and not a big check to insurance companies or hospitals. But we want to make sure it's going directly to lowering premiums. So that's in our plan.
As far as how Republicans are doing at this, how do you think that they can do better messaging-wise when it comes to health care? Many of those that blame Republicans for the shutdown said that they don't want more to pay more for their health care.
Well, we don't want people to pay more for their health care either. When you look at what the premiums were going to do, if we did not get these tax credits extended, it was pretty bad for folks. If they're earning $100,000, I was talking to a lady, her premiums are going to go up from like $800 to $3,000. And that was what she was telling me. Nobody wants to see that happen. And we just think we think we could reform these tax credits with income caps, ensuring they go directly to lower premiums of individuals, not a big check to companies. Most Republicans are on board with that. And I think most Democrats are too. And so to me, if we get this done, it's a win-win. Now, I do think we should look long-term. The Affordable Care Act is not affordable if you haven't figured that out. So we got to come up with some better ways to lower the cost of health care, but we're not going to do that before December 31st. That's why I support a 1 or 2 year extension.
And Congressman Bacon, now we're seeing that the FAA is cutting thousands of flights starting today because of the government shutdown, reducing flights by 10% at 40 major airports across the country because of air traffic controllers working without pay. Do you think that this is going to motivate your colleagues on Capitol Hill to break the stalemate?
Well, I just have to remind people, I voted to fund air traffic control. Our House bill did. The Republicans have voted now 14 times. It'll be a 15th time today. In the Senate to fund all of our air traffic controllers' pay. And it's really a travesty that Chuck Schumer and a few, they made it clear this pain is needed to create leverage against the Republicans. But I dispute that because most Republicans want to negotiate on these ACA tax credits anyway. And if I had to push back on one thing with our party, it's all right to negotiate, even during a shutdown. Doesn't mean you have to put it in the CR itself. But we need a deal that we know that we can put in the appropriations bill, because ultimately that's how this is going to get fixed.
I want to move now to another topic. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth spoke at the National War College in D.C., looking to reform the Pentagon's requirements, acquisitions, and foreign military sales. Much of it aims to cut bureaucracy. Let's play a clip from his speech from earlier.
We will remove excessive and burdensome FAR and DFARS rules, reporting requirements, accounting standards, excessive testing oversight, excessively long studies and analysis. Anything that unnecessarily slows down government contracts will be eliminated.
Hegseth also says that he's cutting the Joint Capabilities Integration and Development Systems, or JCIDS. Congressman Bacon, what's your take on this? And do you think it's going to be enough to reach the Trump administration's goals in cutting waste?
I've often been critical of Secretary of Defense Hegseth, but in this case, I have to agree with him. I mean, I served 30 years in the Air Force, and our procurement acquisition process is too slow. It needs to be faster, and our foreign military sales also is way too slow. And I don't think the Secretary may provided a lot of detail. I mean, it was more generalities, but I agree with the goal. We can't take 6-7 years to acquire weapon systems, and it shouldn't take years to sell our equipment to our allies. Our allies like our equipment, but if it takes too long, it's a lot of them go somewhere else where they can get it faster. And so we got to find ways to be faster if we want to compete against China and Russia.
Hegseth also added here during his speech that there's limited competition and vendor lock at the Pentagon that stifles innovation. How serious has that been, and what would have happened if that went unchanged?
The Secretary's right. We have lack of competition. And prior to the Cold War, we had tons of competition. And that makes people sharper. It makes them faster. I think it puts more incentives to compete, be creative, be innovative. And we've lost a little bit of that. And today, we can't produce weapons fast enough to even just support Ukraine, right? And we got to help Ukraine, but we also got to ensure our own military has weapons. And we got to help supply Taiwan to deter against China. But we don't have the capacity right now, and we got to regain that capacity.
Congressman Don Bacon, thank you so much for your insights here today.
Thank you.